Welcome back to the WCS America Challenger League qualifiers. We're here in Game 3 of the best of 3 between Sage and Puck. The score is 1-1. The deciding match is about to start.
We're having such great games coming out from both of these players, and just back and forth between the two of them. I'm really excited to see game number 3. I want to see what kind of crazy back and forth we're going to see this time. I mean, Puck was kind of put against the wall last game. Hopefully, we're not going to see such early aggression. Maybe we're going to see a little bit of a longer game between the two of them. But you know what? I wouldn't be upset if we go into the same type of game again.
No, one thing you see when you see two teammates battle, there's often so many mind games going on. You can get some kind of crazy effects where a player sees something and you react in a different way because they have this inside information, knowing exactly how their opponent plays, having all that experience in basically in practice playing against them. So map number 3 is going to be Cloud Kingdom. And this is actually one of my favorite maps. It is one of the older maps now. It's been around for a while, but it's still a great one.
Alright guys, so spawning up here in the top right-hand corner from Team Root, it is Sage, our red Protoss player. And spawn down here in the bottom left-hand corner, also from Team Root, it is Puck. So yeah, I mean, Cloud Kingdom has just been one of those maps that's just hasn't died. It's like the new Metalopolis almost. We've been seeing it in so many tournaments. It's been around for how many years? But the great thing I think about Cloud Kingdom is that it was user-made. It
was, of course, part of that, the TL map contest, I believe, along with Ohana. Both those maps have seen a great deal of use. One of my favorite aspects of Cloud Kingdom is the fact that there's a lot of choke points and ramps that are relatively easy to defend, but there's always another way to work around it. So there's a lot of positioning on this map as players try to decide which path they want to cross to get across the map, how they want to approach attacking their opponent, and also how they want to approach trying to force their opponent to move out of position and then circling around them on a different path, working different angles. A lot of great movement plays on Cloud Kingdom.
And I think that's really what makes it just one of the best maps that we've seen here in Starcraft 2 since, Wings of Liberty, and it's kept alive here in Heart of the Swarm. Now, the new season has started in Heart of the Swarm. We have a whole bunch of new ladder maps, and of course, gripes and advantages of the new maps have been coming out in the Blizzard forums. People complaining about some maps, and people, enjoying the new types of maps out there as well. But Cloud Kingdom's just one of those ones that hasn't gone away just yet. But that's what that's what makes me happy. A little bit of static in this incredibly variable times we have here in StarCraft 2 maps.
Definitely. We can see Sage, it doesn't look to be going for that same aggressive opening, already using his third Chrono Busan probes for a more standard approach. And Puck's scouting early, so she's perfectly aware that it's unlikely to be that same aggressive play we saw last game.
Cybercore going down here for Sage incredibly early, second gas as well, so neither of these players playing too crazy. Cybercore going down a little bit later here for Puck.
What we see here is really the disadvantage of scouting. Everyone talks about how great scouting is, and yes, overall, you guys watching definitely scout as much as possible. But Sage is building just a little bit faster because he didn't lose those minerals from sending that probe out to scout.
Exactly. And it's just every little probe here does matter, especially in PvP. This, harkens back to, as soon as you send out that scout, your gateway is a little bit later, your cybercore is a little bit later, and everything just kind of starts cascading from there. But gaining the information from scouting, of course, will always let you know exactly what your opponent's doing, and that will, of course, help you out later on in the game when you're trying to figure out what your counter to their play should be.
Both players going for a 2-gate opening, probably going to open with 3 Stalkers. We're going to see a battle of map control. Sage getting to Mothership Core slightly faster than Puck. So getting to Mothership Core this early usually means you either want to put in some pressure, use it for the high ground vision, or you're looking to expand rather quickly.
And with that Mothership Core, I mean, that's also 100 gas that's gone, so it could be that we're going to be seeing a little bit more of a high-tech build coming out here from Puck, saving up that Vespian gas for another use. Of course, Puck also grabbed that Vespian Geyser a little bit later, so maybe just wants to ration off that Vespian Geyser a little bit longer until she knows exactly what Sage is doing a little bit more so that she can possibly pop out a quick sentry if need be.
Look at how Sage is scouting in all 3 directions around his opening 4 of those proxy pylons. Probe went one way, Stalker, Mothership Core different ways. Now they're all going to meet up to try to put on some pressure.
And here's a little bit of a Stalker battle right next to the Zelnaga Tower, and it looks like
Sage is trying to lure her back.
Trying to lure her right into the Mothership core, but actually Puck not going to take it, going to go straight away from that, but pulling in more and more Stalkers, and the Stalkers here are, of course, coming out here quicker for Puck because Puck's base is closer.
Oh, and what's very dangerous here, oh, she sees the pylon. Does she see the pylon? I think she saw it.
She saw the pylon.
Yes, and she knows to back away. If a warping of Stalkers trapped her Stalkers from one direction while Sage pushing from the other, it could have been a devastating sandwich and lost her several Stalkers. So, well, you know, it's like, why don't you just go and kill the pylon? Retreating is a safer option if you're not sure how many warp gates your opponent has.
Now, Mothership Cores are both heading to Sage's base. It looks like it's going to be a Mothership Core party over here. Just actually getting a little bit of more information, possibly going to poke in here. A little bit dangerous, though. Has to be careful of those Stalkers. Mothership Core does not have that much health. And actually, I'm not sure. It looks like, yeah, going to lose that that Mothership Core. I'm not exactly sure what this Mothership Core is doing. Oh, nice recall. But that's going to cost energy.
It did. It's a, you know, it's a scouting decision. At this point in the game, if you want to scout, you either have to wait for Observer, use 100 Sentry energy for hallucination, or use 100 Mothership Core energy. And of course, Puck didn't really have that Sentry energy available because she didn't open up those sentries early on in the game. So knowing that her opponent is going for the Blink Stalkers is actually a nice advantage.
And you know, also using that Mothership Core, Puck is playing an incredibly defensive build, getting that Robo Facility out and getting the Immortal. So the only thing that could have possibly ruined her day there would have been any type of Stargate build. And actually the probe, okay, I was about to say, if that probe gets by, that probe is a master of subterfuge. But the probe does get caught there by Puck.
Puck looking for proxy pylons along the bottom part of the map. She's going to expand, but Sage has expanded just a little bit faster. Of course, neither player really has the power to take out the other's expansion at this point in the game. You know, Puck has those Immortals, so great defense against the Blink Stalkers. And if Puck tries to cross the map, the Immortals take a very long time to get across there. And Sage has those force fields and Mothership Core ready to deal with them.
Sage does hallucinate a nice little Oracle to get some information here. The Observer, of course, going to scout off that as a hallucination and going to make that you know, not a priority at all here for Puck. But Puck is going to be able to take it out. And the scary thing here is that the Blink play coming out here from Sage is actually going to be really great on this map. The incredibly huge vulnerable ledge here on Puck's base is going to be, you know, a bit difficult for those Immortals to run back and forth, especially because the ramp is so far back here going on into the natural.
It definitely is. Puck getting a nice 2 Stalker kills for only a single Sentry. They're using great use of the force fields after the Stalker just Blink to pick off an extra one. Going straight to Colossi. And against Blink Stalkers, Colossi are pretty much the best unit in the Protoss arsenal. It's small numbers, you want to get some Immortals, but as the numbers scale up, as Zealots can get in front of those Stalkers, Colossi are your best friend in dealing with them. Sage going straight for double Stargate play.
Ooh, that is an interesting decision here. Now, the really great thing here is that by going for such an early Colossus, that lets you get into that endgame army just a little bit earlier. The Colossus actually great for the endgame for Protoss versus Protoss, especially when you get a couple more Archons in there, make it a beefy army. It's going to be almost impossible for Sage to deal with, as long as Sage doesn't start getting into critical mass number of Void Rays. That's the only thing that I've really encountered that counters the Colossus Archon type army.
Void Rays, of course, great for Colossus, but going double Stargate costs a lot of resources. Void Rays are not effective in small numbers, and Puck here going straight up to 6 gateways. We could see a single Colossus timing. Yeah, this is a timing designed to punish double Stargate play. You get a single Colossus whose main purpose is to step on force fields, because of course force fields are the great defender's advantage in PvP, and then you just push out. You kill the Zealots, you kill the force fields, 7 gateways of warp and reinforcements. You overwhelm your opponent throughout the battle, not by having a stronger army at the start of the battle, but by warping in more units during the battle.
That's going to take advantage of the fact that there's absolutely no ground army that's going to be coming out here from Sage, because obviously going to be spending all those resources on getting those Phoenixes out. And Phoenixes, though very strong at taking out many air units, the Colossus is not actually that phased by it. It does take a little bit of damage from those Phoenixes, but not enough to really make it worth it. And there's going to be so many Immortals out here as well. It's going to be a difficult decision of whether or not to attack the Colossus or Gravitron Beam those Immortals and lift them up.
Definitely is going to be a little bit tricky, warping in more Stalkers for defense. Picking off the probe, that's actually an important pickoff, making sure it couldn't be a closer pylon. Photon Overcharge does go down.
First Photon Overcharge is spent, and actually not even caring about the Photon Overcharge. There is a Time Warp as well, and it looks like we're going to see Puck move right on into Sage's army. The Mothership Core does get taken out. The Phoenixes are trying to take out the Colossus, but the Immortals are laying waste to everything out here. One with 5 kills already, another one with 3, and with those Immortals out there, it's going to be a very difficult battle for Sage here, but the Void Rays come out just in time, and trying to lift up those Immortals so they do less damage, but those Immortals are all still alive, not even hardened, shields taken out on any of them, and they're just going to stutter step back here outside of the range of the Photon Overcharge, and just, wow, that was a lot of damage there by Puck.
It was, but of course, still behind in economy just by a little bit from sacking so much probes early. This is the strength of the build, though. Mass warp and reinforcement. Sage can only warp in a few units at a time. And
here is another Gravitron Beam going to grab one of those Immortals, and that is actually going to make it a little bit less useful at the time. But the other 2 Immortals are still on the ground, and they're doing so much damage. The Stalkers are not focusing down the Void Rays, but they're going to go straight for the Nexus, takes out the Nexus, and as long as Puck can save at least some of these, some of the units of this army, he's made this completely worth it.
Definitely a very intelligent timing by Puck. This is the weakness of that double Stargate opening, is that sometimes these timings can hit before you really get enough Stargate units to where they're an overwhelming force. Now, Puck just needs to defend her expansion with 7 warp bits and reinforcements. I think she could. She just needs to supplement the Stalkers with some Zealots to help tank, some Sentries for Guardian Shield, as well as Force Fields, and she should be fine.
And she's got 2 Photon Overcharges ready on that Mothership Core. She's got 200 army already. So she can, you know, Photon Overcharge once, force back the opponents, get a couple more Warp-ins in, and then Photon Overcharge again when any type of main engagement comes in here. The main thing here, she has to take out those Void Rays, because they're going to do a lot of damage, especially to hardened shields, because they do a beam, and it's a very quick damage instead of being a very one-shot heavy damage.
Definitely wants to focus the Void Rays. I don't think there's any way Sage can really get in here with Photon Overcharge available. Puck's even going to try to take up Twilight. Moving forward! But with that many Sentries, Puck has to be so careful, because without Blink, Force Fields are extremely powerful against Gateway units.
But look at how many Force Fields Sage just spent trying to get away from Puck's army. That was a lot of Force Fields there, Axelov, and it looks like Sage is going to be almost completely void of one. He only has 1 to 2 Force Fields left.
Oh,
Time Warp! Time Warp goes down, and 2 more Force Fields go down as well. Puck going to be able to clean up the rest of this army, and there's nothing but Void Rays. The only flying units left here for Sage.
Oh, what a big win for Puck. Sage trying to strike back with an Oracle in Puck's main. Very fast reaction by Puck to warping in, and Sage wasn't microing Oracle. He's just going for the Stalker. Of course, the Oracles don't kill Stalkers that fast. Yes, he's going to take 1 Stalker out, but it would have been so much better for him to take out many probes.
Yeah, actually, that was just... He was going to get a couple of probes. It's actually up to 7 kills already. 8 kills now.
Still making it work.
That Oracle doing a good amount of work there. But here comes Puck's army. Now going to return the pressure onto Sage's base. Sage with a couple of Void Rays, 4 of them to be exact. But with so many Stalkers, the Stalkers can focus them down very, very quickly. And there's only a couple of Zealots and Sentries for the ground army here.
No Photon Overcharge for Sage, and Mothership Core is just about finished, but of course it won't have sufficient energy. Great Force Fields, picks off a few units, but I think Puck's more than happy to trade a few units for Force Fields, as that's such an overwhelming army that's going to head up the ramp shortly.
I mean, trying to buy time, but what is Sage going to have in that time? An Immortal's on the way, and that's about it. There's not even close to having enough energy for that Photon Overcharge, and once again, the Nexus is now under siege here for Sage, and Sage is going to just be once again backed into a corner of the main base.
Well, Oracle counterattacked at the natural of Puck, getting many kills, up to I think 18 kills on that Oracle. Puck did react in time though, and the bottom line is, even with a smaller probe count, it's still 2 bases to 1. Puck still has the army advantage, and now Puck has that Twilight Council tech available, so progressing to Blink is going to be the next obvious course.
And not even a huge income advantage for all the damage that was done there. Actually still tied 35 to 36, so not really taking a huge advantage. I mean, it's going to level the playing field a little bit, but still there's this huge army out on the field. It's 108 to 87 still, and all of Puck's army takes out air except for that 1 Immortal, but all of Sage's army is not too great against taking out that many units. I mean, Void Rays are great when they get into larger numbers, but not when you're on a hurt econ.
Definitely, that's Sage's problem. Plenty of probes. He's got Puck equaled in probes, but the vast majority are long-distance mining. His main is mining now. Oracle trying to equalize the economy yet again, but it gets taken out.
That is such a pretty explosion.
It's got a friend.
It's got a friend, and the friend's going on straight on into the main base.
There's that Templar. Feedback, a great counter to Oracles.
And the feedback does go down. The Oracle just has to run in and immediately peace out.
Wow, what an unsuccessful Oracle. It was so eager.
It had so much potential. It had Moxie, that one, but just not going to be able to do that much. Unfortunately, his friend was a master. He's just still a disciple.
Yeah, not
always two there are.
I think he's going to be living under the shadow of that first Oracle for probably the rest of the game.
And I mean, with 0 energy, just not going to be able to do that much. And is the rest of the game going to really go on that much longer, Axlive? Well, here comes a bunch of those Void Rays just kind of moving around as Zealot does scout out the troop movements here for Sage. So Puck, once again, going to be exactly sure of what she's going to do from now on.
Puck's army just got about 60% stronger in the last few seconds as the Archon's added in to help squish those force fields. Blink Tech is about to finish, and these Stalkers are going to be so deadly with those 2 additions.
Here come those Stalkers putting a little pressure, trying to take out that one little Zealot, but that Zealot, he's a stalwart guy. He's not going to get taken out immediately. Now the Archon leading the charge, and that's completely the best maneuver here for Puck. Once you have that Archon out there, it's a massive unit. It breaks force fields with no problem. But the Archon actually going to take out immediately. But the blink up and the focus on the Void Rays are going down so quickly here. And it looks like Puck is going to have to back off for a second as those force fields try to fade away. Oh, double blink. Has to escape for now, but of course can just wait for more and more warpins.
This is actually getting a little bit dangerous for Puck. She took that battle in a really awkward position. 2 Immortals and Void Rays, both great units against Stalker. The Archon was so important there, but she put it probably a little bit too far forward, got focused down quickly, and now Sage is actually adding in a Colossus. Puck all of a sudden, in the last 20-30 seconds, had gone from an insane advantage to almost, it's about even right now.
Yeah, it's about even. It's only, I was going to say 10 food supply ahead, but as soon as that second Colossus started, we're now at 95 to 99, and Puck trying to grab a third base, and with trying to grab that third base, also throwing down a Dark Shrine to keep that map control, but with the Robotech that's already out there and the Observer's already on the map, I can't imagine these Dark Templar are doing too much damage.
Definitely needs to try to find some angle to use them. What Puck needs to do is she needs to really stop making those Stalkers. Not so effective versus the composition that Sage is going for. A lot of Zealots could be useful. She's realizing it now. It's switching over to pure Zealot Archon. But if Sage gets enough Colossi, even the Zealot Archon composition isn't going to quite cut it. So potentially maybe trying to hit a timing before Thermal Lance finishes or going to targets of her own. I think she's actually in kind of a rough spot right now.
Yeah, being a little bit wishy-washy with her tech builds, and she doesn't even have... Does she have Thermal Lance? She doesn't have Thermal Lance yet. So she's not even going to try and go for the Colossus. She's not going to try and counter it. She's just going to try and mass up as huge of an army as possible and hope that this doesn't get to the end game. Because if this army gets taken out here with Thermal Lance, with Colossus already out on the map, and more upgrades coming out here for Sage, Puck is actually going to be in a difficult position. Actually, Puck has 0 upgrades. +1 is going to be the first one that's coming out here at the 23-minute mark here in the PvP. That's
going to be very powerful for Sage with those helping the Colossus, the Immortals, every single unit. Sage is going to try to hold the choke point. It's Puck going to... Oh, Puck's going to look to double-pronged aggression. DT Zealots to the third while the main army threatens the natural. And that is exactly what Puck needs to do, is try and get up this ramp. If she can get up this ramp, it's going to be a huge victory, but unfortunately just still going to be completely chased away out of this. But it's a distraction. The third base is going to go down. The Photon Overcharge trying to take him out, but even with the DTs there's no detection. Oh, great plays by Puck. They're even stopping the Oracle counter at the natural as well. Puck just totally outmaneuvered Sage there because, of course, taking advantage of the fact that Sage's army is these powerful tech units, Colossi, Void Rays, Immortals, and these units get much, much, much weaker if he's forced into a situation where he has to fight on multiple fronts. And, you know, they're actually kind of slow units themselves as well. I mean, Colossus and the air units, of course, can just go over ledges, but that's not the problem here. It's just a pure distance formula here. You know, you have to worry about running your forces back and forth, back and forth. You can't split them up at all. They all need to be in one giant army. Taking that third out was a victory Puck needed to really get that food gap going. Of course, if you're fighting an opponent who has a better composition tech-wise, who has the Colossi versus your mostly ground army, who has the Void Rays, the Immortals versus a lot of Stalkers, that's where you need to get the economic advantage. Puck accomplished that by taking out that expansion, and now she needs to find a way to either equalize attack or maintain the economic advantage by maybe grabbing a fourth base and maintaining a base up, or trying to take out that third once again.
and she has to make sure that she just doesn't let Sage get into that amazing death ball formation. As soon as enough Colossus come out here and enough Void Rays, there's no army that Puck can raise that's going to be able to take that out unless she herself goes for the same exact army. But she's spent so much food on Zealots, on Stalkers, on Archons, that's going to be a little bit difficult at this point. She has to at least sack this entire army before then to even try and get up to that Death Ball status. But taking out that third base, deny that Econ, deny the Death Ball status coming out here from Sage immediately. And Sage has to rely on getting more Archons and actually trying to catch up by doing Twilight Council as well.
Definitely what Sage is going to be looking to do. Of course, his gas income is a little bit higher than his minerals right now. Oh, a great position for Sage, though. Puck attacking in a disadvantageous angle, but I think she might have too much. A great storm goes down.
And doing a lot of damage. That is the one thing about that Death Ball is it is very clumped up. A lot of storms will do a lot of damage. The Void Rays are about to fall down. The Colossus taking so much damage itself. The Archon here for Sage is trapped behind all the Stalkers. Meanwhile, the Archons here for Puck are doing so much damage. The Colossus are falling, and it looks like Sage is going to GG. Puck takes game number 3.
Wow. What a great gameplay by Puck there. Taking out one of the favorites to advance to this qualifier route, Sage from Korea. Falling down to some great play by Puck there. I
am without words. Yet again, these players give us another back and forth game. That was an amazing game number 3 here. So, wow.
You know, what's really awesome there is Puck knew exactly how to use the timing. So even though the angle here was poor, Puck knows that her army is nearing max. It will no longer be able to improve. She knows, as you mentioned, that she has to stop that Death Ball army from hitting max as well. So strike Sage right when his third base completes before he can really utilize the economy from the third base to increase his army and just totally overruns him with superior numbers.
It's almost Zerg mentality right there, yeah. I would have to say. But looks like, you know, I'm going to want to follow those players as we keep going throughout these brackets.
Definitely. We can see here a lot of these round 1 matches are coming together. Noni taking out Cap, and he's going to face off against Chadong in the second round. Puck advances over Sage. We just saw those games. She's going to be up against Desro. And over at the bottom, Arya versus Huang Xing. That's a Kreen versus Kreen matchup. Arya not quite as well known.
A lot of mirrors coming out here as well, as we see Qualifier Rice going on against Muslim, who had a bye in the first round. Mia versus Moose Skills is going to be a ZVZ. And then we have a couple of diversity matches here of Max said, a TVP, as well as a ZVP coming out here from Bales versus Cham.
Definitely a lot of intense matches in the second round. Max said is one of those players to look out for, along with these top Chinese guys. Jim, too. These Chinese players have been doing so well.
Jim takes out Sasquatch. That was not expected by me. That was definitely it. But JYP now going to go against Zenio. So that's going to be a great match to watch. I don't know if we're going to be able to grab that one, but Top also is going to be, of course, buyed into the second round. We're going to have to wait for the results of No Creativity versus Fitzy here to see who he goes against.
A lot of intense action here in the brackets. We just saw, Puck take down Sage. Before that, we saw In Control fall, unfortunately, to Pig. Australians making a great showing so far. Over there, we can see Pig beating In Control is now going to advance against Drunken Boy. And over at the bottom, Trimaster took out Mario to face off against Tasia.
We're still waiting on the results of Elige versus Cats to see who's going to go on there. And these brackets are filling up, but of course, as these brackets are starting to fill up, so are the loser brackets, unfortunately, as well. And, half of our players that came out here tonight or today are going to be a little bit upset as they're going to be moved on into the losers bracket after round number 1.
That's right. So our next match is going to be Zigua versus Center, 2 of the best players in this tournament facing off against each other. We'll be right back with that match after a short break.